And we're live. It is Friday, the 3rd of October, the year of our Lord 2025. It is 8 o'clock a.m. and it is the day after Yom Kippur. We have a female Archbishop of Canterbury. Uh, you know, Life is complicated, guys. We don't know which religion we're talking about. We're talking about female archbishops. We're talking about atonement in the year of our Lord 2025. It's all super complicated, and I'm just gonna ignore it. Um, Look, I want to talk about my latest experience with the algorithm. Um, as you all know, the estimable Ev Gamont and I have a game in which we exchange data about what the algorithm is feeding us. And the algorithm is, let's just say more arbitrary and capricious or confused about what to feed me than it is about Ev. As you know, the algorithm likes to try to sell me young Ukrainian women or Eastern European women because that's apparently what it concludes if you're friends with a few of them. Um, and um, and then when you don't buy the young Ukrainian women, it figures rather than that it may have missed the point that you're not looking to engage in human trafficking. It concludes that it may have the wrong ethnicity. And so recently it has been on a kick of, getting me trying to get me very interested in young Asian women. Um, and then yesterday, on Yom Kippur, I might add, the algorithm discovered that maybe, and this is a quote, I am, quote, struggling with lust, unquote. And a young woman popped into my feed to inform me that Jesus was in the algorithm too, and she heard I was struggling with lust, and um, and that this was an opportunity she wanted to pray over me, and so she did, and we prayed together. And I, of course, did what I always do with novel such videos that the algorithm uh, um, handles with me. And this was on Instagram, yes. And so I did what I always did, which is to send it directly to Ev. And we had a good laugh over the sequence of algorithmic mistakes, which are A, that I want to buy a Ukrainian woman or maybe teenager. B, that actually this is a generic desire for young, uh, beautiful women in general. C, that I am struggling with lust. And D, that therefore I would be interested in being prayed over by a attractive young woman. Now, I I do want to emphasize that the algorithm is correct. I am struggling with lust, but it's got the wrong kind of lust. And because my specific lust is a lust for mischief, a lust for uh, making trouble, a lust for uh, the pleasure of annoying the right people, but it's heading in the right direction. That the fundamental desire is uh, that there's a drive here, and it's just got the wrong thing going behind it. And so we're going to see. I'm going to keep you updated where the whole algorithm takes me. I'm going to keep you updated. I'm not ashamed of what it feeds me because, uh, fine. Everybody's allowed to draw whatever conclusions they want, including the capital A algorithm TM. So I am, uh, I'm excited about wherever this goes. Uh, Look, folks, the sun is shining outside. The birds are chirping. It's going to be a great freaking day because we have a whole year to go before we have to atone again. And you are watching Dog Shirt TV, where I am just candid with you that I am struggling with lust. And here I am. Watch me struggle, guys. There it is. Um, so, one of the revolutionary features of the show, because it is a revolution in morning television, is that I talk to you frankly about my struggles with lust. There's no, I don't hang out here and pretend to be a holy, normal, faceless, passionless person who never struggles with vices. When I struggle with lust, guys, you know about it. And another one of the revolutionary features is that my conversations with the algorithm are yours for so that you know what the algorithm thinks of me, just how, you know, crassly, crudely simple it assumes I am because I am a 55-year-old male. And one of the other revolutionary features of the show is that we all get to imagine together what the average 55-year-old male's, uh, you know, likes and search histories must be in order for me to be getting these recommendations from the algorithm. In order for it to be sending me this stuff, think how many people must be in the market for a young Ukrainian woman or a young Japanese woman. Um, just imagine what the average 55-year-old male's search history and click history must look like for it to assume that, somebody who's basically into Ukrainians who post interesting things about Ukraine and Russia um, uh, must be struggling with lust. Folks, we are not allowed to have fun anymore. We are allowed to struggle with lust, apparently, but we're not allowed to have fun anymore. But we are allowed to have Andrew pop up on the screen. And there he is. Uh, he popped up for a second the other day and then froze like a photograph and vanished.
Hmm, really? Was that Nicholas maybe?
Oh, that maybe that was Nicholas.
That was like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, all good.
I have it. It's multisyllabic names of uh, people who hadn't been up on the screen before. How are you?
I'm good,
Welcome.
Ben. I hope you had a meaningful fast yesterday.
I don't fast,
Okay, cool. A meaningful
I
experience.
don't do meaning.
Yeah, for sure.
So
We're past that.
look. I mean, in my relationship with God, the one who has atonement to do is God. Because did I send us Donald Trump?
Hmm,
Did I make Vladimir Putin the president of Russia and make him invade Ukraine? Did I do any of that?
I don't know. I mean, it's beyond.
I mean,
Yeah,
look, I would love to be that powerful, but I'm not. But God is. And I sort of think if God wants to play games like that with us, He shouldn't ask us to atone. Just one citizen's opinion.
Mhm.
What's on your mind this morning?
It's something I think that's pretty on point in terms of God and lust and the algorithm, and it's my algorithm on a very unfortunate website which is now called X. Uh, it gives me good stuff usually, like Anna Bauer or like classics, Twitter and professors and whatnot. But every once in a while, like Elon Musk or something will show up and he'll say
Right.
something like ridiculous and false. Um, and it was 2 days ago actually. Ken Paxton showed up, the Attorney General of Texas, who is, of course, running for John Cornyn's seat in the Senate. And I mean, I thought it was a joke, and I remember this. He posts that he is sending out a legal advisory to all public schools in Texas that they must comply with SB 10 is their law that was passed, I think, earlier this year. And it requires the display of the Ten Commandments in every public school classroom. Um, and he's just demanding compliance or there will be action against people. And, people were in the comments saying, congratulations, this is awesome, we want it. And I just thought, I mean, this is just flagrantly illegal under Supreme Court precedent. Um, I mean, the way the Supreme Court is kind of trending now with regard to religious exercise is maybe one thing, but there is a case called Stone versus Graham from 1980, which was the same law, maybe even less of a violation. It was in Kentucky that all schools must display the Ten Commandments and a little text at the bottom saying, like, the Ten Commandments is an important part of, like, our like moral history or something like that. That's not even in the Texas bill. It's just straight up like a religious document in every school. I mean, as young as however young kids go to school. Um, and I think
And
there's yeah.
as an original matter, I mean, I think if we're being originalists about this, is it required to be displayed in English or Hebrew?
Most definitely in English, as the
And
Bible was written in English, of course, right?
which translation are we using?
Um,
Because there are folks who believe that, only that God intervened only in the writing of the King James Bible, but there are also people who don't like the these and thous of the King James Bible and want, kind of more modern translations.
the
And
bill
so
itself even includes the language, and it seems, I think this is the King James version. It says, "Thou shalt have no gods before me. Thou shalt make."
yeah,
Yeah, so I think that's,
that's King Jamesy.
yep,
Well, I think first of all, I think if we're going original here, it should all be in Hebrew.
absolutely.
Um, and um, and I think if we know John Hawkinson, it should not be in Aramaic.
If we're doing the Sermon
The
on the Mount or something, maybe that could be in Aramaic.
Yeah, if you
That's
can
next.
do so. First of all, John's point is witty but wrong. The Torah, the five books of Moses, are written in Hebrew. The original Gospels were likely written in Aramaic, but we don't know that for sure. What we know is that there is some residual Aramaic text in the Gospels, specifically when Jesus is hanging on the cross and he says, uh, Eli, Eli, lama
Lama
sabachthani,
sabachthani.
why have you forsaken me? That is in Aramaic. And so there's an assumption that that is a residual holdover from an earlier Aramaic text, but we don't know that. What we do know is that there is a correct form of the Ten Commandments, and it is in Hebrew. And by the way, if you hung the text of the Ten Commandments in Hebrew in Texas classrooms, I think you would have a revolt among a lot of Christians who would rightly feel like they were being proselytized. Um, and so Yes, Joe, biblical Hebrew. Although I don't think the modern Hebrew on the Ten Commandments would be very different. There are a few. Uh, Lior could tell us this for sure, but these are short, simple sentences, and um, so I think that that's what we need to do. We need to print up some, nice stone tablets with the Hebrew and send them to Texas schools and see what they do with them.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think they would be very confused. I mean, they're easily confused, a lot of these people. But I do want to make one other point about the sort of like ridiculous hypocrisy of Ken Paxton doing this, and not to just like call out an attorney general and prominent politician, but two of the commandments are "Thou shalt not," in this translation, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," and "Thou shalt not steal." Um, I mean, I think many of us know this, but Ken Paxton's wife recently filed for divorce for biblical reasons, which
Right?
people understand to be that he committed adultery.
You don't think it's that he put other gods before,
I
you
mean,
know,
he did that too,
before
for
the
sure.
Lord our God?
He's definitely done that in some like metaphorical way. But thou shalt not steal. I mean, he didn't plead guilty. He basically, it was like a no contest, and he had to do community service. Not too long ago to securities fraud for something that he had done before he took office, basically a sort of pretty standard like scalping type scheme, in which he defrauded people who he was issuing securities, the company to. So it's just like people are. It's. I didn't think I was in the real world when I read this from Mr.
Yeah, well,
Paxton.
I think he clearly needs a reminder of the Ten Commandments. There's also the whole bearing false witness issue. I mean, he's accused all kinds of people of all kinds of things.
Yep.
And, oh, I see Frank just pointed out the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think, he needs a reminder. I'm not sure that means every Texas school kid needs a reminder every day. But look, it's all cool. We'll put it in front of the courts, and of course this came up in Alabama as well, and
Louisiana,
caused. I'm sorry.
Louisiana.
Well, Louisiana in schools, but Alabama in the Supreme Court. Remember, what's his name? Whose name I can't remember. The Chief
Yeah,
Justice of Alabama, who later went to, ran for Senate and lost, Roy Moore, because he also had a thing for very young girls, but always ask their mothers to take them on dates. If I'm remembering his defense, so I think it's fine. We'll before we let you go, Andrew. Who are you?
Yes, I've called in a couple times, but usually I haven't really gotten the audio to work, so I can't really like explain it. I am a member as of this year of the Greek chorus, maybe sometime last year. I am an attorney in New York, here on the Upper West Side, sort of Ben's home neighborhood. And
Oh, you're Andrew Steele.
yes, yes,
Oh,
I
oh, oh. Okay.
can't put the steal when I sign in to the computer. I usually use my
I know
phone.
you from good questions on Lawfare Live. I just don't think I've ever seen your face before.
Yeah, I was one of those kids in law school who like if there was silence and the professor was like any questions, I would like sit around for a few seconds and like have a question because I didn't like the silence, hence my always having to ask a question, I feel like. But yeah, I'm an attorney here in New York at a law firm. And yeah, love the show and love engaging with you all.
Andrew,
Excellent.
you
Well,
can click on your name right
Oh,
now and change
sweet.
it only while you're on the screen. It's a special privilege.
Can I do that?
I, I'm a little
There you go.
confused why we're talking about Texas without talking about Louisiana, where the same thing happened last year. And I guess there's a preliminary injunction
Yep.
in both states. But I mean, I guess it's because Ken Paxton is easier to ridicule. I guess, but uh,
And who
I
knows what the
mean,
laws in Louisiana are? I mean, they have the Napoleonic Code, I feel like.
Well,
oh,
also, um, Louisiana is just objectively not that important a state.
the
I mean,
boot.
it's
Louisiana is an awesome state.
I,
But yeah, I tend to
it's a
agree.
fine state. I'm not criticizing it, but it's not. Texas is a very large state whose governor is always a possible president and whose electoral votes really matter. And Louisiana is, we don't care that much what Maine does either. Um, and I'm not criticizing small states, but there's a little bit of uh, yeah, and Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, if you put them all together, would, the populations would fit inside of Houston. Um, John, the floor is yours.
Oh, I really just wanted to get the context and make sure that we were discussing those similar states together, and that we didn't put it out that Texas was somehow, the vanguard.
Look, I mean, it's a vanguard in that when Louisiana does something, it arguably doesn't matter very much. And when Texas does something, it does. It's kind
Okay,
of like,
that's not what a vanguard is.
you're right.
I mean, maybe Louisiana can be the bellwether. I will yield to Auntie.
Auntie Ruokonen, it's great to see you.
Yeah, you too. Finally, I have some voice I can actually use.
Has your voice been gone?
Well, partly because I had a really sticky cold, and sometimes, after you're at work and you have to actually speak up in meetings, by the time we get to Dog Show TV, it's there's not much left.
Gotcha. Well, glad you're back in health.
Thank you. And just so you know, I felt uncomfortable commenting on which states in the United States are important and which are not. So I remain
Well, I
silent.
mean, but which one? All right, which states in Europe are unimportant? You're allowed to comment on that.
I'd say that maybe Andorra is slightly less than useful at the moment.
Andorra. What about, Luxembourg?
Well, I mean, Luxembourg hosts quite a number of financial institutions, and also other European institutions. So I'm not gonna
True
shit talk them.
story. True story. I had a German uh, student in my writing class one year, and he was very funny, and he used to write these comic pieces that were all entirely legally accurate, but were designed to be funny, and one of them was about Luxembourg as a rogue state that needed to be that needed to be reined in. And it was all about the financial laws of Luxembourg and how they're designed to attract Russian oligarchs, and but it was written in this, like, as though they were North Korea or something.
Right, but there's even a Finnish comedy movie that's set in Luxembourg. So
Really?
yeah,
See, you couldn't do that here, set because nobody would know what Luxembourg is.
yeah.
Nastya, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are things?
Um, things are great. They're spectacular,
Really?
Oh,
Your
yes.
country is turning into, speaking of North Korea, North Korea.
No, we're not
I think
speaking
things
of.
are a
We're
bit
not
less than
turning into
optimal
North
for
Korea.
you.
We're turning into Pinochet's Chile, or
I
you
guess that's
know,
better, slightly.
well, it's slightly better. you know.
Guys, I'm gonna yield my screen time. Nastia's time is way more important than mine is.
Wait, but you showed up for a reason. Presumably, it wasn't to joke about Andorra. What brought you here?
No, I was just gonna ask how hopeful you are right now about peace, the Trump peace plan actually
I'm
amounting to
literally
anything.
writing an article about that right now. Literally.
Yeah, so
We can discuss.
I am always hopeful about my president's peace plans.
Oh, wait,
Be-
I'm sorry, you meant Israel and Gaza, right? Not Ukraine?
Yeah, this is the Middle
Okay.
Eastern peace plan.
All right, never
I'm
mind.
sorry
I
because
have
there are
no
so
thoughts
many of
about.
them these days.
I
So
have
So
no comment.
look, I am always hopeful about my president's peace plans. As you know, he promised to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, and it ended in 24 hours, just like he said. He
sure.
promised that there would be a massive seaside development in Gaza, and as you can see, magically 2 million people have disappeared, and you know a huge development project is ongoing in Gaza, and it's great investment opportunities, guys. And he promised that Russia would never do anything bad while he was president because, they respect him. And that's why we've had no aerial incursions over Estonia, over Romania, over Poland. And of course, no mysterious drone incidents in either Denmark or Norway. And so when the president puts forward a peace plan for Gaza, I have all the confidence in the world that it is gonna be, because we are the shining city on the hill, and what's to doubt?
That's a good question. But now I'm gonna step back so you can talk with Nastia. Great to see you, Nastia, and hope you're safe.
As safe as one can be.
Excellent. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
So, Nastya, you are on your way to Oslo.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm like giddy or whatever the word is.
All right, tell everybody what takes you to Oslo, and what are you going to be? Well, how do you get from Kiev to Oslo?
Okay, so I met some Norwegians during my visit to Arctic Norway in spring. They were all excellent Norwegians, and one of the excellent Norwegians invited me for a media seminar thing, which is organized by the Norwegian Helsinki Committee. They organize it every year. It's the annual Anna Politkovskaya seminar. Of course, the Norwegians are commemorating Anna Politkovskaya.
You should say who that is
Oh,
for
sorry.
uh,
Yes.
for those who don't know her.
Okay, she was a prominent Russian journalist who did like crazy reporting, like went to Chechnya and was especially known for her coverage of the Chechnya wars, which obviously made her a lot of enemies, and she was mysteriously killed. So, she was clearly assassinated by the Kremlin for her coverage. So she's one of the bravest journalists in the world, to ever work. So
And this is the nicest thing you will ever hear Nastya say about a Russian.
About a Russian journalist, maybe, yeah. I mean, like, me being salty with Politkovskaya would be a tad too much. Like, even I can accept that she is genuinely, an extremely respectable figure. And so, anyway, they're hosting this annual seminar, and they invited me to speak about journalism in Ukraine and various Ukraine issues. And so I'm going there to do that, and I'm staying a few extra days. So my trip is a week in total, like the entirety of next week. Because, as we've mentioned before in this show, we are working on a project about the Arctic, which involves a lot of Norway and the Barents Sea region. So very sort of relevant to Norwegian geopolitics and politics and security. So I'm going to be having a bunch of meetings for fundraising purposes, for just source development purposes, research, stuff like that. So I'm super excited. I love Norway. I love Oslo. I've never met a Norwegian who didn't seem extremely nice. So I'm so excited.
Although some Norwegians, it is important to say, are a little bit on the dour side. You
What
know,
does that mean?
like you have to kind of get to know them before they will there are these jokes that and Auntie can correct me if I'm wrong, that Finns are uh, shy and introverted, and I find that this is more true of a lot of Norwegians than it is of the Finns of my acquaintance.
I am yet to meet, apart from Minna, I am yet to meet a single Finn,
Well,
which,
you just met Auntie Ruokonen.
oh, okay, I didn't know he's from Finland. That's excellent. Okay.
He is not just from Finland; he is joins us from Finland.
That's so awesome. Finland is great. So it's a good thing you told me because I was about to say bad stuff. But well, okay, I will tone down slightly my jokes, but the point was that I've like reached out to a bunch of Norwegian and Finnish and Danish diplomats and in Kyiv just to like, make connections and network and get to know them. And not a single Finn responded to me. So I've met a bunch of Norwegians. I've met a Danish diplomat, but the Finns just completely ignoring me. Also, they all seem quite old, like just the staff members that I've encountered. Like the Norwegians are all super young and hot, and then the Finns are like a lot older. So I don't know.
Interesting.
I feel like the Finns are much more introverted from my limited experience.
That's interesting because I have always found that the friendliest city in Scandinavia, the Nordics, is Copenhagen.
Could be.
That you
I really want to
like,
go there.
when I was like 19, 20, I biked from through that whole region,
Oh my,
and
that sounds like
I'm
something I'd love to do right now.
it was super fun, and I get into Copenhagen, and I'm standing outside the opera house, which is now has moved. This is the old opera house, and where I had just bought tickets to Othello, which I then saw in biking clothes because that was all I had. And I'm standing out there with my bike, and these two tough looking guys, uh, one of whom is wearing literally a trench coat, walk up to me, sidle up to me, and I have my like American guard up because like, what do these
You
guys
guys are
want?
not friendly.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can take the New Yorker out of New York, but I did grow up being mugged in Manhattan.
Oh,
And so this guy comes up to me and he says, of course, in perfect English, "Are you a tourist?" And I said, "Yeah." And he opens his trench coat and pulls out a beer and hands me a beer and says, "Have a beer." And then he pulls out two other beers. His whole coat is lined with beers. And he hands me a beer and he takes out a bottle opener, and we open the three beers. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning.
that's
And
incredible.
he says, "It's Danish beer. It's the best beer in the world." And we clink the beers and we
We
sit on a
like a little
park
Danish
bench
nationalism.
and drink the
I
beers,
do.
and then they get up and leave, and they like go on to the next tourist. And
It
I
sounds
have
so
never
great.
been accosted on the street and given a beer before in any city I have ever been to, and it has always defined my standard of um, before or since, Carol. It has always defined my standard of random friendliness to foreigners. Um, anyway, I want to say that I think that we should do something like this in DC, with we
Ukrainian
should
beer?
get this tradition going. No, just maybe to National Guard people, just randomly give them beers and see what happens. And make sure you get pictures, because pictures of them drinking would be hilarious. Um, um,
Did
what
you?
is on your mind this morning, Nastya?
Well, I was just running around all day, like doing last minute things, like getting my nails done, doing some like last minute shopping, like getting socks and stuff, like random stuff before the trip. Um, and yeah, I like need to work, but I can't because I'm like thinking about the trip. So, I don't really want to be writing about the European Defense Industrial Complex, but that is also very interesting. I was reading a really interesting report about it.
See, Nastya is currently, just so that you know, telling me why her piece for Lawfare is late.
It's not
Just
late. I had no deadline. Nobody ever gives me deadlines. I could file it in April for all I know, and you guys would be fine with it. But I'm not going to. It's going to be done. It's like 2/3 written. I just want to talk to more people for it before I do. But okay, random question that just popped into my mind. One part of my Oslo preparations, as I've told you before, is gathering a list of books that I'm gonna buy because English books are like very hard to get in Ukraine.
are there good English language bookstores in Oslo?
Yes. Yeah. Of course, it's not the same as DC or like an English-speaking country, but yeah, it's pretty good. I have them all mapped out. I have a whole plan. So
See, Nastya and I travel differently. Nastya plans everything.
no,
And
just the bookstores and the coffee shops, and as of recently, now that I go to the gym all the time, also the gyms. So that's the
as I
three.
was saying, Nastya plans everything. I plan nothing.
Well, so I had a question. Somebody just asked, has Ben found his
No, my
passport yet? That's an
passport is
excellent question, Ben.
good and gone. And I will be applying for a new passport this coming week as soon as some of the underlying paperwork required for a passport arrives at my house. Assembling the relevant documents has taken a little bit of time. So, no, and I have a ticket to Kiev that I keep pushing back and
Yeah,
rescheduling
it's
because
so sad.
I don't have a passport, but I'm going to acquire one. And oh, really important fact for you all before we go back to Nastya's story. I have ordered a new Gobo projector, and it
Is
is
it gonna have a new
coming.
name?
It does need a name, and it's not clear what its gender is yet either. You know,
How does
um,
one define that?
you meet a projector, you learn its name, and it communicates to you things about what its preferred pronouns are. But most of the projectors, you know, Heimar the Gobo projector was female. Lord Laser is male, obviously. Lady Laser is female. I don't know what this one is going to be. I don't suppose I'll know until we meet it.
This
I
is
think of
exciting.
Gobo projectors as presumptively female for some reason, but that may just be because Heimar was female. And Heimar was named by our mutual friend Kat, um,
Of course.
without
Of
knowing that
course.
she had named it. Um, uh, anyway, you were saying, Nastya.
I was asking, what's the deal with Christopher Hitchens?
What do you
We,
mean?
like, I don't know. Is he considered a good person to read? I mean, I've read all of the controversies and stuff. But I'm asking because I've been aware of him because, his books are like enormous, and even if you don't care about him, you will still spot the yellow book in any foreign library. But then why I like thought of him as a recently is because he did a really great lecture about Orwell because he wrote a book about George
Right.
Orwell, and I had an
Yes.
obsession with Orwell, so I was like, I went to a lecture on YouTube about like Orwell and his life. So he gave one and I watched it and I was like, okay, maybe I should read him as well. And so, and then I read about the Iraq War situation and, and then you said you knew him. So like, what's the
I
context?
knew him slightly. I mean, I knew him in the sense that we'd met. No, we didn't know each other well.
Okay.
So, uh, first of all, Hitch was completely iconoclastic and
What does
great
that mean?
fun.
That's a very
I,
hard word.
I mean, he was eccentric. He was you never quite knew what his view on a given issue was likely to be.
He's an
Um,
opinion writer. How can you not
yeah,
know his opinions?
well, because then he would tell you, right?
Okay.
So he was a passionate. He starts life as a quite conventional leftist who wrote for The Nation and
Okay.
was but he had these I don't know, these weird divergences. He was always more interesting and less party line than his colleagues at The Nation, particularly the Alex Coburns um and his he was also a passionate and committed atheist.
Yeah, I
Um,
have a problem with that a little bit, but that's
he
okay.
he he felt like he was a very passionate and was part of that same.
Like Dawkins?
There was a definitely comes out of the same school in that regard as Dawkins, Harris, Sam Harris,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of fierce
First.
atheism, uh, which also led him to be quite not anti-Muslim, but anti-Islam in quite the same way that he was anti-Christian, right? It was not a racial or ethnic thing.
Okay.
It was an anti-religious thing. He
Interesting.
was, um, uh, he definitely found a relationship with conservatism over, um, what he would say was sort of democracy issues, and but involved, uh, you know, led him to support the Iraq War, led him to support a pretty aggressive posture in counterterrorism after 9/11.
Is that still considered bad? Not by like
Well,
university campus people, by like,
I mean, look,
grown-ups.
I don't think anybody defends the Iraq War as such
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Um,
Okay.
Certainly those of us who supported it at the time,
Including
whether
you?
did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Um, and I mean, I didn't write about it. It wasn't sort of in my area but the Washington Post editorial page, of which I was a member of the board, supported it. And I certainly did not dissent from the Post's position at the time. And I don't really run away from, uh, I don't think I ever wrote about it, whether I supported it or not, because it just wasn't, I write about domestic legal issues, but yes, my instincts were behind it, definitely. And I definitely thought of the left intellectuals like Chris Hitchens and Paul Berman, who supported it. I thought of them as quite courageous for it because they
Mm-hmm.
kind of gave up
Right.
their
The
um
allegiance. Mm-hmm.
but look, there is no doubt that it worked out badly for everyone concerned. And so um, I don't think anybody, if you had David Frum and Bill Crystal on right now and said, hey, in retrospect, was that a good idea? They would say, of course not.
Okay.
Um, but
I'm asking about his background because um, I obviously don't know a lot of this history, not about the Iraq War, I've studied it, but I mean like the general American history. And obviously when you read essays like that are about politics and those kinds of issues, you learn a lot about like the stuff that was going on at the time. Like with Orwell, there is so much that I've learned just about
right.
England and World War II. And so I'm asking because I don't have that context, I'm going to be prone to just believing everything I read. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to like read a Hitchens book and inhibit all of his opinions because I don't know better. So
Well,
I
so
like,
there is a wonderful debate that took place between Hitchens and George Galloway, who was a left member of parliament who opposed the Iraq War and was a very outspoken um uh and uh like the argument, knowing what we know now, which is that Iraq didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and the results were going to be it was going to take a long time to get Iraq to a minimally stable position. It was going to empower Iran, and there were going to be 5,000 dead Americans and a lot, and I don't know how many is a lot, and neither does anybody else, of dead Iraqis.
way too
Um,
many
yeah, a lot, a shitload.
civilians.
Uh, that there is nothing to be said for this policy, knowing what we know now. If you engage the arguments based on the information that was available in 2002 and 2003, it is a much, much harder question. And a lot of people choose not to do that because it's so much easier to, resort to what we know now.
I
And
mean, go ahead.
there were lies. I mean, that said, there were also uh, real issues, and
Mm-hmm.
real issues that were, in light of what had happened on 9/11, deeply non-trivial. Hello, Evgamon.
Hey, good morning.
We were
Just wanted
just
to say,
I was just monologuing about getting videos from beautiful women who want me to deal with my struggles with lust.
yeah, this is so freaking weird and
What
problematic in
is
so many ways.
what did I miss?
The
I've never
algorithm.
seen you report. I've never seen you refer to any women as beautiful because you never comment on it. So this is
Well,
weird for me.
I don't comment on individual women's appearances
Yeah,
ever. I
yeah.
will say in general that that the algorithm has been busy trying to sell me Ukrainian
Underage women.
underage Ukrainian women for quite a while, and now is trying to sell me repentance through by sending me beautiful women telling me that Jesus lives in the algorithm, um, and that I should deal with my struggles with lust. So I always turn around and send those to Ev, because Ev and
Oh,
I collect the algorithm's uh, attempts to tempt me. Um, how are you?
okay. I'm gonna go eat lunch and run around again, and you guys
A-
enjoy your time.
Anyway, short answer to your question. Yes, Hitch is always worth reading. His news-driven stuff is a little bit less so. He wrote, multiple times a week. And sometimes he
Too much
really
credit.
toss stuff off. And so, look for longer, more thoughtful essays rather than quick news responsive essays.
Okay.
I particularly love his essay on the Ten Commandments, which is basically to circle back to our Ten Commandments conversation. He wrote an essay about the Ten Commandments once, uh, that the principles in them are either obvious or wrong. And and I've always thought that that's a wonderful contribution.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Ev, you're all uh, bundled up. Is it cold up there?
Uh, I wouldn't say that it's super cold. It's just like starting to be too cold to not wear a jacket or a coat. And so I decided that the warmer one was perfect. So I'm like wearing something that is made for like minus 30 degrees Celsius, and it's probably like 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. So I'm kind of very much not freezing. Kind of warm in
And
another
and
way.
why is Riverside identifying you as Albert Craig?
I don't know. That's what I thought that it was probably maybe a joke that you had made in some sense.
I
I
don't
have
think
no
it's a
idea.
joke, but I think we're gonna go with uh
Oh, John says that if you are on your iPhone, which I am, it's maybe that.
I think we're going with Je
Je
suis.
suis Albert Greg.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right.
How's
Um,
life?
I have no complaints that anybody wants to hear. But people hear from me all the time, and they don't hear from you. And so the relevant question is, how is your life?
My life is fine. My life is fine. I'm on my way to an event for the some birthday of the Law and Technology Center of University of Ottawa. It's supposed to be very, very interesting. Then I have a oh yeah, you probably don't know about that. I I'm suing the Quebec government or working on lawsuits um to contest and challenge the use of some sort of algorithm to predict dropout in Quebec's uh elementary and high school. And so I have a media interview this afternoon to talk about that. Um,
And what does the algorithm, who developed this algorithm, and what does it look for?
so that's very interesting. So it all started in 2017 when a principal of one school somewhere decided that he was very against dropping out because he was himself a dropout. And like I'm caricaturing, it's kind of a caricature, but it's he talked to his like brother-in-law who was working for a consulting firm in accounting, and they talked to each other about AI and how amazing it was. And they decided to build a prototype of an algorithm that pulls 1,000 data points about like grades and attendance stuff, but also like who are your parents, where are you living, what language do you speak at home, stuff like that. And pulling all of this data, they generate a dropping out score for grade 6 students or 11 or 12 years old people. Oh, there's a truck backing up.
All right.
So kids 12 are assigned a risk score, and then we don't exactly know what it is for. They say that it is to help the students, but when you look at who is able to access the data, these risk score, you realize that it's very, very high up in the hierarchy. So only school boards people can see. So it really seems to be all about in creating some sort of performance-based funding scheme. On the principle that you're helping the kids.
And is your theory that such a algorithm has no utility or is dangerous, or is your theory that such an algorithm has potential value for certain purposes? What's your working theory about a predicting dropout algorithm?
Well, let's split this question in two halves. The first one is the reason why we're suing right now is that um, the mechanisms to ensure that it's done responsibly have not been respected. There was a first ruling about the prototype that was enumerating a number of conditions that the algorithm had to respect to be compliant with the law, and these have not been respected. So this is the main reason why. Uh, and one of the conditions that they have had to meet was to do a impact assessment and to really have take time to ask the tough and difficult questions, such as what kind of data is relevant um, to predict dropout. Is the language spoken at home relevant? Is the fact that mom and dad are alive or not, or living together or not, relevant? They're just taking all the data that school have in their files. So that's one of the things. The second answer, is it something that could be useful? I have my own opinion, which is not about the lawsuit, but I don't think we should um, bureaucratize school even more. I think we should walk away from such a bureaucratic, calculable, predictable, rationalized system and go back to something that is more community based, more relationship based. And I don't think that assigning numbers to people and students, uh, even more than they are actually described with numbers, is a good thing.
So
Um,
explain something to me. If the algorithm decides that you're not merely struggling with lust, but likely to drop out of school, what does the school then do with that?
but that's the old thing. We don't know. We don't know, and that's another thing, a key thing that they were asked to do and haven't done. Um, Explain to the parents what is this thing and what is its purpose. And we don't know. We only know that only school boards CEO have access to the information, and that it is done according, like it's following the um having a tough conversation with Cleo.
Yeah, Cleo has been busily chewing on notebooks and other things, and I'm trying to keep her from destroying anything else.
Yeah.
Keep talking, I'm
Yeah,
listening.
sorry. So we don't know. We don't know. I don't really understand what's the purpose of this. I think that teachers already have a fairly good idea who's likely to drop out. I don't see really how it makes a big impact or difference. What can be done more? I know that teachers have like lack of resources, and I don't understand why these resources are invested in building a fancy shiny tool instead of like just having the cash directly funneled to the school. I think it's really more about, and when the project first started, they were very enthusiastic about saying how it was the first project in AI in Quebec, and like the government was really excited about that. Um, and I think it's probably one thing, it makes good headlines. Uh, and it participates to a vision of society where numbers are more equalizing and universalizing. And I think it may be that's, oh yeah, these schools and those teachers, they are biased and they have prejudices, but numbers really good, really really good. So I think it's maybe that. And yeah, schools have always been they I think it's also a thing that the ministry wants to have access to the data, the like provincialized data of like who are the good schools, where it's going well, where it's not going as well, what schools can you got funding in. I think it's you know.
Well, I will just say the following about predicting dropouts. Predicting the past is really easy. And so if you collect all the data about past students and use knowing who dropped out, develop an algorithm to show who dropped out over the last 10 years, this is like predicting elections that already happened. Show me the algorithm that can predict the next 10 years of dropouts accurately, and then we'll talk. I think, the whole the whole model of, look, I've developed a system that accurately predicts what already happened, I am super skeptical of in all domains. Um, show me the system that can predict hurricanes prospectively, that can predict dropouts prospectively, that can predict elections prospectively, and let it run for, I don't know, 8 or 10 years so that we have a really good sample to measure it against. And that's my general thing about all prognostication algorithms.
I'll say one last thing before leaving. Let them drop out. I'm not sure I even understand why we're so obsessed with these. Well, I know um, the universal access to education is not. It's a neoliberal agenda. It's not to enhance understanding of society and like have a more literate public. It's not that. It's really, really well connected to the needs of so let's just have a conversation about the real reason why we're so obsessed with dropouts. I don't think it is as bad a thing as we pretend, to have people leave school if they are not interested in going to school, and like getting into debt and paying their loans for years and years and years, just because otherwise they can't have a job, but they were never really interested in going to university. I just don't know if it's worth it.
We are going to leave it there. School, not necessarily worth it. Uh, uh, Folks, we're going to be back on Monday. Noam Dworman of the Comedy Cellar is going to join us to explain himself. Why do you run a comedy club, New York's most important comedy club, if you don't like comedy? Who is he? Why do you have a non-funny podcast that is run out of the Comedy Cellar? All the great Noam Dworman uh, 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 questions will be answered, and we're going to be back then. See you then.
Nice.